maybe just a brief introduction at least, like a name, native, location. That would be helpful.
Okay, I am Ramesh Rao, son of Shiva Rao from US, joining the meeting.
Hey, hi, Rameshana.
Rameshana, we want to see you more in this program, Rameshana.
Okay, I'm Bhatta. Yes, Apna Bhatta.
I see Sachidanand Murthy on the call as well. I think we talked about Sachidanand Murthy yesterday, Murliana.
Yeah, right. As a song.
Banta.
ಆಫ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ವಿಡಿಯೋ
A lot of people are still joining. I see the count is going up steadily. It's 40 now. Murliana, ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಕೊಡುವಲ್ಲ? I think the count is going up steadily. So,
yeah, probably another couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Counter.
I see 40 people now, Uncle.
Oh, very good, very good.
It's a 40 connection. People know more.
Yeah. Okay, I think Murliana, let's get started. Murliana, it's 8:33, and while people join, I think we can get started. And this is more of a general topic, so I think people should join, and I think get along easily.
Sure.
Okay. So, okay. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening for all the people who have joined the webinar from different parts of the world. Glad to see you all here on this digital platform, and I'm looking forward for a very interactive session today. I want to introduce myself again while I take you through this journey. Sharath Akirekadu joining this webinar from Houston, Texas, and welcome you all on behalf of DEEPIKA, our monthly webinar series. And thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar by Muralidhar, Joishy on the topic embracing the change. And I just want to talk for a minute about UDYOGA. So about UDYOGA is like a brainchild of a few like-minded community members who have come forward to set up a platform to share the vast experience of our very talented personalities from our community and guide and mentor the young and needy community members. So we are trying to reach the various sections of the community with the different topics and different achievers, so the attendees are vastly benefited. Basically, the concept is designed and executed by the Career Development Committee, a wing of Akhila Bharata Sthanika Brahmana Sabha Bengaluru. It's a worthwhile to remember UDYOGA DEEPIKA had a very symbolic inauguration on the 11th of January 2020 during the Vishwasthanika Sammelana, that's on 2020. When the UDYOGA DEEPIKA webinar was planned initially, it was a monthly webinar series, but with all the COVID-19 situations around, we thought it would be wise to come up with more number of webinars and engage the community while we all are in kind of a home quarantine or home isolation. So far we have completed 6 webinars by various different eminent personalities just in 6 months. I'd like to bring up the slide so far what we have done. So the first one was by Subramanya Rao Natoja, and it was on the topic fastest growing career opportunities for the next decade. And where we talked about various subjects like the technologies that's really in the boom in the current market. And the second one was from Guru Raj Rao from the Parimala Consultant. It was about the Bari the Worry and success mantra for preparing and handling the exams and interviews. And the third one was from our own Shailaja Shastri and Dr. Sandeep Shastri. And it was on the family emotional bonding times of social distancing. And B.C. Rao uncle gave a detailed talk on work from home apprehensions and concerns and opportunities. And Pradeep Kumar uncle talked about managing personal finance during crisis. And our last webinar was from our own Harish Kumar Marpalli. And he's one of the practicing lawyer in the High Court of Karnataka. He talked about various rights and liabilities during and post COVID-19. So we have concluded around 6 successful webinars. And today is Muralidhar Joishy talking about the embracing the change on the 7th. It's the 7th webinar. So it was when it was planned initially. I think we never had any plans to do it like a weekly or once in 2 weeks. But with all the Corona situations around, I think it is a good and a wise decision to make use of the situation and make use of the resources and convey and reach all our young and the needy participants. Yeah, we so far for all the webinars we had an average participation of around 100 people for each session. So it is really heartwarming to get this kind of an encouragement from the community, and we are looking forward for more and more participation. So coming to the webinar sessions, the coronavirus pandemic is in a way it's a transforming life is overwhelming hospitals, demolishing commerce, restricting access to public spaces, straining digital infrastructure, intensifying mental health challenges, and forcing people indoors. In the absence of a vaccine, many of these disruptions could become permanent. To help us make sense of ground shifting beneath our feet as a crisis unfolds, we should think this as an opportunity to build back better and embrace the change for good. I request you all to spread a word about these webinars to all the community members, and want this benefit to be shared to all the participants in a large number. So I would request you all to spread this word to all your friends and family, so we'll see a larger participation. I would like everyone to go on mute while the speaker talks about this subject. I think it will be easy for him to handle the subject and give a good demonstration. And now without further ado, I'll give a brief description about, or introduction about the speaker. Yeah, Muralidhar Joishy he originally hails from Marpalli, Udupi district, born and brought up in Siddhapura, a small town in Kundapura, where he did the primary education. He has a Bachelor's of Engineering degree in Computer Science from Mysore University and an Advanced Management degree from IIMB Bangalore. He started his career with Microbosh and is currently working in the IT industry from past 27 years in the ERP and the supply chain product consulting space. Currently, he is a head and the general manager of India at Inspiration, an Oracle ERP and a cloud consulting company. To just give a brief heads up on this company, Inspirage is a platinum level member of Oracle Partner Network and has been recognized by Oracle with the numerous awards, including Oracle Excellence Award for Specialized Partner of the Year in 2018, 2017, 2016, 15, and 14. It's headquartered in Washington, USA. The company has a global presence with offices in North America, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. I'm also very happy that Murali is an active member of Akhila Bharata Sthanika Brahmana Sabha Bengaluru, and he is in the executive committee and leads the education committee responsibilities since October 2019. He is married to Lata and they live in Bangalore, and with the two children, Abhinandan doing engineering at MS Ramaya and Aniketan, who is in the 11th grade right now. So with all this introduction, I'll hand over the webinar to Muralidhar Joishy to take this forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sharath. Give me a second. Let me share my screen.
And I see the participants count is 60 right now. So happy to see you all with such a great participation, and welcome you all to this session.
All right, Sharath, can you hear me, right?
Yeah, I can.
Hey, thanks, Sharath, for your kind introduction. By the way, my wife's name is Lekha. So, namaskara. Good evening, good morning to people who have joined from the western side of our country. And thanks for joining us this hour. Firstly, thanks to our Sthanika UDYOGA DEEPIKA team for providing such a nice knowledge platform to our community. And I'm happy to share a few thoughts on the topic, embracing change today. We had few wonderful speakers, as Sharath said, over the last 8 weeks, especially during the lockdown time, starting from Dr. Shailaja and Dr. Sandeep Shastri, BC Rao sir, then our Sabha Vice President Pradeep sir, and our own lawyer, Sri Harish Kumar. All the topics were related to the pandemic we are experiencing right now. I thought probably a change would be an apt topic given the situation we are in. Over the next 40-45 minutes, I'm going to share some of my thoughts around change, the context, the impact of it, why do we resist to change, what are some of the ways to adopt to the change, etc. As you know, change is a very, very vast topic, and we can find plenty of materials around it. I have put together a presentation from some of my experience and some of my readings with some relevant pictures and the quotes, which I will walk you through. At the end, instead of elaborated question and answer, I thought, I have requested Dr. Sandeep Shastri and BC Rao sir to provide their perspective about the topic. We can still have a few questions if need be. So with that note, the topic of today is change, Badalavane, embracing the change, or Badalavane and Oppikolvantad. The little picture out there is my direct family, Lekha and 2 boys. So a context and the impact of change, right? If you're looking at the definition of change, it is a movement from current status state to a future state. It could be a sudden, anticipated, or a planned move. Change could be perceived as good or sometimes bad. Irrespective, when the change happens, it disrupts the current ways of doing things and brings a lot of uncertainty. It could be fear, and etc. And the need to do things differently. So let's look at some of the examples of change in general. Say sudden change in traffic rule. For example, the city police, say for example, said there's a change in traffic rule tomorrow. Red means go, green means stop, etc. Right? Imagine the chaos on the roads. That's going to be a huge change. Then college to corporate. I think all of us have, either going through a college life or past that and gone to corporate life. There's a huge change when we move from college to corporate. The new arrivals, these are as well a huge change for parents, the way we live, the parental, all the environments around, all of that will bring new change. Even the relationships, right? This is the where two known or less known families or unknown families are coming together for a lifetime. That's going to be a huge change for the included parties. New job, I mean, it's going to be again another huge change where the technology, the environment, the business, the people, a lot of change around when we move to a new job. New bosses or a change in manager. There is a way we need to change. We used to work with an earlier manager and adopt to a new ways of doing with the new person. Then we see that happening all through unforeseen sales of the company. It could be a merger, acquisition, etc. Again, there's a lot of disruption. People may lose job, people may get an opportunity, different technology, different business lines, etc. Then we have seen this in the last 2 decades, change in technology. Maybe 2 decades ago, it was all about money, paper money, right? But in the last decade or so, there's a huge change in terms of the way we transact financials. And it's through the plastic cards, it's all through, now it's online, right? The whole banking is changed into an online. And at last but not the least is a natural disasters. It could be a landslide, it could be a drought, or it could be a cyclone. We saw some recently. So all of these are kind of, and I just want to give you a glimpse of what the change means. It could be anything and everything happening around us could be treated as change. So what are the impacts of these changes, right? Often change happens just like that. It's sudden, it's quick, and it disrupts our equilibrium. The world you once knew is just gone, and it's difficult to know what to do. All rules of the game would have changed. And we see change in technology, then tighter competition, demanding customers, etc. If you look at a few other examples, say in cricket, test match to IPL, the whole format of the game, the rules, strategy, skills needed, team composition, all of that has changed. Internet, it has changed everything what we do. Take digitalization, the ticketing, the banking, payments, and cash management, all are up for digitalization now. Social media has taken over. Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, information can reach in no time today. Then how about e-commerce or online shopping? No, now anyone can shop anywhere, anytime. Then lastly, the innovations in cab services, the Olas, Ubers of the world, has changed the life of people. So with that, this is a quick agenda for the day. And we talked about the context to change, its impact. I'm just going to talk about what's change, resistance, acceptance of change, adapting to it, and when to change. And at the end, some expert comments. So change is not an event. I just want to say it's not an event, it's a process. Whether it's a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, or a winter shifting into spring, or the pandemic we are currently facing. we can easily appreciate the process of change. The biggest mistake we may do is to treat change as an event that happens point in time. But it is not. One needs to realize that the change, buy into it, which may take a long time though. The initial shock, denial, anger, and finally accepting and adapting to it is all about a process. You know the saying, Kalaya tasmai namah, badalavane anivarya, change is inevitable. It is going to happen irrespective. Question is, how do we handle it? Change will happen around us all the time. We need to accept what is beyond our control and focus on our own internal transition to the new reality. When we have no control over a problem, best is accept it and learn to live with it so that we don't empower the problem to control us. John F. Kennedy, former American president, said in Frankfurt back in early 60s, if we rest in our achievement, if we resist the face of progress, time in the world do not stand still. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certainly going to miss the future. Now, history has shown that the one thing constant in life is change. Be it organizations or individuals need to learn that change is not an enemy. It is the way or a new way. People change, situation may change, and it may affect us, but it is not something to be scared of. So if it is so, what is it? What is change? To me, change is a compulsion to get out of our comfort zone. Change begins at the end of our comfort zone. I can affirm that many of us hate change, including myself. We love consistency, always like the expected results or the behavior, like knowing that things are in order, family that we can depend on, friends and relatives around. That makes us very comfortable. When you're being comfortable in what we are, so being comfortable is what we are, it slows down or stops our learning curve, hence our progress. So as you know, the rate at which things are changing in the modern world, we will be left behind if we don't change. Imagine a day where we are ready to go to office, the car or the bike doesn't start. Or when we get up in the morning, there is no coffee. Whoever makes it, husband or wife. No power, no water. Or this is the experience I had recently. Washing machine stops working during the first week of lockdown. It forces us to enter into an unfamiliar territory, which we haven't experienced. I remember I can go back to 85 when I came to Bangalore for studies. Every damn thing was new. The city, the culture, the language, the ways of studies, way people used to dress, friends. And I'm sure all of you have experienced this when you move to a different city from our villages. Oh my God, the total shock or a huge change. These situations will force us to learn or do things which we haven't done so far. Once we learn them, we will start enjoying, like the man who is surfing in the picture. The best surfer out there is the one who having the most fun. Like the saying, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. We can't stop the change, but we need to get out of our comfort zone and learn to enjoy the change. Change may be risky until we experience and adapt to it. But I'll tell you, not changing is riskier. We will be outdated. So when we talk about change, it's unavoidable, as we know. We can't control the outcome. Change happens everywhere. Even the nature is not an exception. Like the climate or seasonal changes, say from spring to summer or rainy season to winter, etc. It's all different environment, different feelings, and there is a scientific meaning to all of this. I just want to take an example of our new year, Yugadi. Yugadi is just not a festival. Yugadi andre Yuga plus Adi. Hosa Yugada Aramba. Hosa Sameda Praramba Antartha. ಪಂಚಾಂಗಗಳ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಯುಗಾದಿಯ ದಿನದಂದು ಹೊಸ ಹಿಂದೂ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಹಿಂದೂ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್ ಕೇವಲ ಸಾಂಪ್ರದಾಯಿಕವಾಗಿ ಮಾತ್ರವೇ ಮಹತ್ವಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕವಾಗಿಯೂ ಹಾಗೂ ಖಗೋಳಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಹತ್ವ ಪಡೆದಿದೆ. ಆ ದಿನದಂದು ಭೂಮಿಯು ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಸುತ್ತ ಒಂದು ಸುತ್ತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸಿ ತನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಸಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ವಾರಿಸ್ತದೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟಿಲ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ದಿ ನಾರ್ದರ್ನ್ ಹೆಮಿಸ್ಫಿಯರ್. ಉತ್ತರ ಗೋಳಾರ್ಧವು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದ ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ಪಡೀತದೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಶಾಖದ ಅನುಭವ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಮ್ಮರ್. ಇನ್ನು ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ವಸಂತ ಕಾಲ ಬಂದಾಗ ಮಾವು ಚಿಗುರಲೇಬೇಕು ಎಂಬ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನದಂತೆ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯು ಕೂಡ ಚಿಗುರೆಲೆಗಳಿಂದ ಹೊಸ ಋತುವಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಕೋರಲು ಸಜ್ಜಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಮರಗಳ ಎಲೆಗಳು ಉದುರಿ ಹೊಸ ಚಿಗುರು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಋತುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ಜೀವಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ತಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಶೈಲಿಯನ್ನ ಬದಲಾಯಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತವೆ. ಸೊ even the nature undergo changes. Don't ever try to go against the nature. Best way is to surrender to the nature. So ultimately change is inevitable. Adoption is the only option. Now let's understand what is the reaction when change happens to us. First thing goes into human mind is that, hey, it's difficult. We will fail. It's going to be, bringing a lot of loss to us, etc., etc. We human beings like to live our lives in comfort zone. Our subconscious likes this because it is the known. Embracing change is stepping into unknown, and our subconscious doesn't like it. So we resist to any changes. So what are the other reasons why we resist? Right? Anxiety of unknown, anxiety of fear of failure. Hey, I may fail if I take this up. Or fear of loss. The second thing would be comfort in the current situation. I'm comfortable in what I'm doing. Why is this change needed now? Etc. For example, take the work from home. People are working from IT especially. We are working from home for the last three months or so due to the COVID situation. It was very difficult when we started a few months ago. We didn't have the infrastructure. Some people were, very apprehensive about things. But now, 3 months into it, we feel comfortable. For example, no struggle in traffic, especially in Bangalore, relaxed environment, timely food at home, right? So I'm sure when we start this office again sometime soon, we will start to resist. We don't want to go to offices, right? So the other reason is connected to the old way. We are a social species. We like to remain connected to those we know, even at the times to our own detriment. Let's take a few examples, right? When we go to all these functions, wedding, upanayana, etc., we keep talking to or sit with folks we know. The same as in colleges. Students move around with the folks they acquainted with. I've seen this in offices as well. We always mingle with our best buddies. The other reason why we may resist to change is that change may affect our power and influence in the organizations or in society. Sometimes the resistance is also due to lack of competency or ability. Finally, the reason I want to talk about is the delusion of self-confidence. it's obvious that we are not good at everything. The illusion of self-confidence means it's not only that we are not good at something, but also do not want to believe that ourselves. We just live in denial and make no effort in improving. So, well, we often can't stop things from altering our lives, but we can stop fearing the change and feeling anxious about the unknown. To continue on resistance to change, it is simply human nature to counteract any changes and maintain the status quo. What is the difference, for example, between a person who can't read versus a person who can but doesn't want to read? Not whole a lot, not whole a lot. You may also have experienced this. If you try to wake up a person who isn't sleeping, right? It's easier to wake up someone is sleeping than who's pretending to sleep, isn't it? A typical human mentality is that, oh, I'm fine. I don't need to change. You need to change. The world needs to change. That's the human mentality. On a contrary, resistance to change is not bad, by the way. It may be a positive force in some instances. In fact, resistance to change is a valuable feedback mechanism that should not be ignored. Why do people resist proposed changes? Do they feel that the new system will not work? By listening to people and incorporating their suggestions into the change effort, it's possible to make it more effective. By the way, all changes are first perceived as loss, though the truth is that some changes are later counted as the greatest gain. Change is never painful. Resisting change is definitely a painful. I'll just, I don't want to go through this. I just thought put a filler in between. The picture itself can say that, fear of change. Even there's a nickel and dimes are fallen. Nobody wants to, pick it up or probably look at. It's suspicious. In the second picture, the two men are thinking, I wonder, he will never change ever. All right, both are thinking about the same thing. Now, we talked about, resistance to change, reason for resistance, etc. How do we overcome these resistances? To me, the first step to overcome the resistance is wanting to change. We need to say ourselves, we need to change. Overcome the fear of change. Realize the advantage of it. There are different ways the organizations or society can help people to overcome these changes. To start with, awareness. Ensure we provide clarity and more information on both changing and not changing. That's most important. People always want to know, what is it for me? Why should I change? What I'm going to gain, etc., etc. We need to motivate people with the benefits of change and the impact otherwise. The other key element would be involve people in the process. Make them part of the journey. Sometimes when we say change, a lot of people will resist. To me, you can choose to give more responsibility for those people who resist or criticize the most. People need to be empowered, obviously. Otherwise, they need to be made accountable. Otherwise, you may not see a best result. Communication and education plays a key role in change process. And finally, reward the change agent who are playing the critical role in the transformation. I think we have seen some of these things in the pandemic. Government of India has managed, probably relatively well compared to the other countries so far. Now, change can bring all kinds of emotions, experiences, excitements, and of course, shocks. Change is very hard for many people to accept. However, part of growing as a person requires us to accept that Life is constantly changing. We might lose our jobs, we might lose our loved ones, or have other life-changing events happening to us. But these changes are just part of our life. If we can't change a situation or an outcome, our best option is to learn how to accept and deal with it. So the first step towards change is acceptance. Take example of COVID-19. It has hit the globe and changed the course of everything in its path, from lifestyle to business. After the initial chaos, world has accepted it. These days, home is the new office, internet is the new meeting room, schools are going online, digitalization has taken the forefront. And for the time being, office breaks with colleagues, meeting friends and relatives, public functions are just history. So there is a new normal for everything we were doing 3 months back. Accepting fact is the key factor in life. So acceptance is the road to all changes. And if we don't accept the change, and if we don't change, we will be changed. Again, it's another, where people are saying that the announcement of change is done, and they're saying it's really went well, and you can see the bananas and tomatoes and stones are thrown at the managers. And this is a nice one, right? One of us has to change. Either the fat person has to become lean or the other way around. I think this conversation probably we will all hear at the home most of the time. Now, once we accept the change, the next step is to adapt. Adaptability is the need of the hour when change occurs. To me, it's a mantra of change management.
ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Technology can change. Technology can become obsolete. Business can perish rapidly, and people become redundant. So people have to adopt even faster than before. I want to illustrate some of the examples real quick. Again, you will see a lot of Dravids in my presentation. He is one of the most person I admire. So him and the T20 cricket. He's a classical Test cricket batsman, adopted from an orthodox Test cricketing style to an unorthodox T20 format. It's a huge change for him, and he adopted it really well. Hindustan Lever, for example, you may remember the soap in the cake form to liquid hand wash, a total transformation. Tatas are known for their diversified business. When it comes to automobile, their technology and process is all meant to manufacture heavy vehicles. And look at their innovation and adaptability in bringing the tiny car. Of course, there are reasons why it's not scaled up, but they have produced a tiny car. Education is handling, heading in the online direction. Government of India is promoting the use of digital payments. This could become a prime success and an example of adaptability sometime soon. So on the other side, there are examples where companies couldn't adapt and they failed. Case in point, you would have heard the company called Kodak. They failed to innovate in digital world. Another example is Yahoo, once the highest read news and media website with over 7 billion monthly views. Their email service and had 281 million users, making them the third largest web-based email service provider in the world. Their growth was mismanaged. Their strategy in outsourcing and plans to acquire companies like Google, Facebook, etc. fell through. So the quote you see in the slide from Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, is very encouraging. He said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive or adaptive to change will survive." Right. We learned that the adoption is the ultimatum to change. So how do we prepare ourselves to adopt? What are the techniques we need to practice to adopt and become successful? As we talked about before, change is a compulsion to move out of our comfort zone. To manage it, we need to move out of it into unknown territory. So adopt the technique of moving closer to the place you fear the most. I think you want to just listen carefully, or lean into the change. The fear you move through when you go to the edge of your limits, which is nothing but more closer to what you are resisting, will in fact cause your limit to expand. Being fearless all the time is the highest human achievement. Only years of doing the right thing can make one totally fearless. A warrior once said, if I look directly into the eyes of my enemy, my fear will disappear. So let's face the challenge in life. Win over yourself before winning over others, said Chanakya in its Arthashastra. So embrace the fear and conquer your own Everest. So the change of moving into the edge of our limit makes us a better person. That's what we just learned. Tough conditions and challenging circumstances teach us a lot of lessons in life. No matter how well prepared and competent we are, it is the ability to rebound and flourish against those tough challenges that determines the ultimate winner. The mantra should be practice, practice, and more practice. Just because we have a good weapon in our hand doesn't mean that we will win the war. We should be able to use it effectively off the field before we use it on actual war field. There's a saying, the best warrior practices for hours every single day, even in the times of peace. Similarly, we should polish our skills, add newer skills, and be ready to face the challenge. I think you all probably, old timers have definitely, cricket lovers has heard West Indies cricket team. It's produced some of the best fast bowlers in the world. Malcolm Marshall, Michael Holding, Andy Roberts, etc., etc. They are known for their speed, accuracy, and sheer brutality. They used to practice bowling on the beaches, on the sand. That tough condition made them the fast bowlers in the world. The other related concept to adopt is compete. Who is our competitor, by the way? To me, it is us. We should compete within. Try to become a better us than yesterday. Set new limits, keep raising the bar, and achieve the goals, etc., etc. Always focus on our strengths, not on weakness, but be aware of our limitations, by the way. So we are only competing with ourselves. So the more time we spend outside our comfort zone, the wider it grows. Remember, the most difficult terrain that creates the best skill. On a contrary, let me tell you one of my incident where I failed to embrace the fear. I've seen these giant wheels, right? So when I got married, Abhi was about 6 to 9 months old, and Lekha loves giant wheels. She said, "Now let's go on a giant wheel." Few years of wedding, you can't say no, or you can't say a lot of things to your wife, right? So I said, okay, let me come. I think it's probably in the, one of the grounds in Bangalore. We went there. Men has this ability to say yes first. They may fail later, but they'll say yes first. So blindly, I just said yes, and I was carrying Abhi. Then we, loaded into the giant wheels, probably about 12 basket or 18 basket one. And when started loading, I just started moving up. I really started getting, fear. The butterfly started, stalking inside. When it went up the, highest point and started declining, Again, they were loading people, by the way. They're not even, they were, spinning it. I really felt, hey man, I just can't do this. So what to do? It's brutal on me, but I pinched the kid on my lap. And I told the operator, hey, I need to get off because the kid is crying. You know what? It's been 22 years or so since then. I never got out of the fear and never into the giant wheels again. So is my son. The beauty happened was, we went to Bali some time back, and there is a crazy thing in Bali. There is a giant swing, between two huge coconut trees. They will put a swing, and you would have videos, and it's crazy. And Leka wants to do again, and this time, she knows me for about 23 years now, and she didn't ask. She said, "Hey, you want to come?" I said, "No, you know what, you go." She went with the younger one, and they enjoyed. But the best part was she could get the picture since two of us were standing downstairs, right? So that's one of the examples. I couldn't embrace my fear, but of course we made some. We started trekking, and I did a few treks to the mountains in Himalayas. As long as my feet's on the ground, I'm still okay. But I still have the fear of height. And even my son has started picking up the trekking along with me. So I just want to talk about, the change is always messiest in the middle. Looks nothing is happening. We all get worried. Hey, what the hell is happening? Take the example of butterfly. The process or the struggle it goes through from an ugly caterpillar to a cocoon and then to a beautiful butterfly. It's amazing, isn't it? It is the law of nature that struggle to come out of the cocoon actually helps develop and strengthen butterfly's wing. If we had cut open the cocoon thinking that it would help the butterfly, yes, we would have deprived it of its struggle, but the butterfly would die. So nothing worthwhile in life comes without the struggle. The point I want to make is we need to struggle to get something in life. If the cocoon were to look at the shortcut, it would have flown. It wouldn't have flown with colorful wings. So the point I want to drive is success is not a shortcut, nor an accident. It takes effort. Let's not look at shortcuts. By the way, there is absolutely no free lunch in this universe. Best teacher, for example, will not give you anything to drink. They make you thirsty and put you on a path to seek the answer. Looking at some of the successful people, now we sit back and think, hey, the path of success is easy, right? We talk about Ambani, his father had money and etc., etc. Never. Everyone would have had their share of struggle to reach the summit. Believe me or not, believe me. Even if someone is airlifted, someone to the top, and if they don't have the ability to sustain, there will be a free fall. So experience the struggle of moving through the cocoon to grow into a butterfly. You will have the last laugh. There is a learning curve in any successful achievement. Once we begin to rely on past achievements or the practice that no longer works, we need to take a step back and unlearn. Unlearning is extremely important. Unlearn the behavior and the mindset that hinders moving forward. Relearn the new skills, strategies, and innovations that are transforming in the world. You may have read Marshall Goldsmith's book titled What Got You Till Here Won't Get You There. Where we are today is due to the certain skills and abilities we have. To reach from here to the next level, we need different skills. The same skill may not work, and the different proficiency of the skills. So I've read somewhere, good leaders know they need to continuously learn, but the great leaders know when to unlearn the past and to succeed in the future. So Nelson Mandela had said once, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Education is a lifelong journey. Let's get out of the myth that we acquired education only in schools and colleges. We must learn to learn, sharpen our acts, sharpen our skills all the time. Right? Be a humble student throughout the life and practice the mantra, learn, learn, and learn. You know, a good performer takes a break after every task or project and learn new skills. So what I'm trying to say is discard the old ways of doing, unlearn things, and learn new ways of doing things. So I think you would have read this. Mahatma Gandhi said, lead the change, become the change you most want to see. Lead by example, walk the talk. These are the qualities of a true leader. Become accountable, right? So there's a saying, there is no loser in a winning team and no winner in a losing team. It's really true. It's important to celebrate success and learn from mistakes. Winners don't do different things. They do things differently. Good leaders, when succeed, they look at the window. When I say window, they recognize everybody, takes everybody along with them and celebrate success. When they fail, they don't blame others. They look at the mirror, introspect, take responsibility, and find out what he or she could have done differently to avoid the failure. So, and I just want to give an example, right? I know students, ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರೆ will say, I have done a great job, ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂತ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. In case the exams was not good, this blame starts. Blame it on teacher, blame it on shortage of time, out of syllabus, blah, blah, blah. So it's important to take ownership for our success or our failure. We are the only people who are responsible. No one else. I repeat, it's only us who is responsible for our failure or success. Again, if you're a Delbert lovers, here you go. And obviously, as I said before, who wants to change? Everybody wants to change. But when you ask who wants to change, nobody wants to change. I think I have another 10 minutes max. I'll come to conclusion. This is, for example, one of my slides. Is my picture. I went up the mountain in Himalayas range. This is on Rupin Pass, about 19,000 feet from ground. And that's my cap and the stick, which helped me to go all the way up for the 12-day trek. So what I mean to say is we need to be confident to sail through the change. Confidence building can come through many ways, right? We need to start getting rid of negative thoughts. Instead be positive, stop focusing on problems, but begin to focus on solutions. And be yourself. Simple question. If we don't believe in ourselves, how do we expect anybody else to do? We need to understand ourselves, our thoughts, our self-worth, etc., and work towards improving it. The third thing I would say, be fearless. Let's imagine a baby as learns to walk. It will fall as it takes those first steps, but then conquers the fear and begins to walk. So fear of failure is not an enemy. Sorry, fear of failure is the enemy, not the fear itself. And again, many things can be said, but change your body language, create a positive supportive network. I think it's very important to build a positive set of people around you, which helps build your confidence. I think there's a saying in Kannada, Sajjanara Sangha Hejjenu Savidante. So let's build a positive people around us. Be prepared, become more knowledgeable. I think understand all the nitty-gritty of your field and practice more. Then your self-confidence will soar. There's some of the quotes by great Abdul Kalam and then of course Michael Jordan. So I'll leave it to read. So we saw the required techniques to adapt the changes, embracing it, embrace the fear, comfort zone, experience the struggle, discard old ways, lead the change, and become confident. Now I'll probably take another 4-5 minutes to close my talk. To me, I think the difficult days never last, but the strongest people always do. A crisis or difficult days like COVID, for example, bring new opportunities. And these turbulent time makes us a better person, a better leader. Develop a skill we never had, right? As the slide says, create lasting change by forming habits that stick. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did before. Again, I told you, I gave a hint beginning, you'll see a lot of Dravid. He's a classic example for me, to adopting to the change. Rahul is the rarest combination in sports, a champion athlete and a gem of a man. I don't want to read through all of that, positive attitude, great team player, highly competent, flexibility, for example, right? He played in all forms of cricket, test cricket, ODI, T20. He kept the wicket to find his place in one day, and then he went on making records in one day cricket. He played almost all positions. Being a one-down batsman, he played from opening to a six down. I think in the Kolkata test, he played on the sixth down and scored 181, and India won the test match. He's a hard practitioner, struggled through his life, disciplined man, a student of cricket, and obviously, he conquered his own Everest despite under the shadow of Sachin Tendulkar. I think Navjot Singh Sidhu said once, some succeed because they are destined to, but Rahul succeeded because he was determined to. Beautifully said. So, in summary, we have discussed the change, resistance, accepting, different qualities or techniques of adopting, etc., etc. Right? By doing all of that, we will have several benefits. As you said earlier, change may look a bit messy in the middle. All changes are not bad. It can later be counted as the greatest gain. And some of the benefits of change are, you can see up there on the screen, personal growth, flexibility, improvement, life values, opportunity, etc. Right? Looking back, we realize that all the good things in our life are the result of changes that occurred in the past. I think we again say in Kannada, "Agodella ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಕ್ಕೆ." So embrace it. So embrace the change. Right? So it's always a question, right? It's $1 million question. When do I change? Present moment is inevitable. We will never get the present moment back again. We cannot be thinking and planning only the future or recollecting the past all the time. I think the quote from Einstein, he said, life is a preparation for the future. And the best preparation for the future is to live as if there were none. So if you have a question on when to change, it is now. It's power of now. I think that's all I just want to had to say today. Thanks for listening. I probably would have taken a couple of minutes more. Sorry about that. But with that, I open up and I've requested, as I said in the beginning, I requested Dr. Sandeep sir and BC Rao to give kind of a perspective on this topic. Then we can take any questions if time permits. Sandeep sir, if you could, over to you.
Thank you, Muralidhar, for that very, very insightful presentation. I am sure a lot of thought has gone into it, a lot of time has gone into it, and I think I would rate it as one of the best presentations I've heard on change.
Thank you, sir.
When I first saw the title, Embracing Change, when we are talking of physical distancing, I was just wondering what a wonderful combination it was. At one level, we say no more shake hands, no more embracing, and Muralidhar is talking about embracing change. And then I realized that Murali is talking of embracing change as an attitude, you see. And I think the whole speech revolved around this point, the point that change is about an attitude. Change is about, so what we need to embrace, I think what Murali is trying to tell us is embracing is about the way we think about an issue. If I could summarize what Murali told us in one sentence, I would say Murali told us that the only constant in this world is change. There is nothing else. The only thing that remains permanently in this world is change. And that is something I think he brought out so beautifully. Let me take half a minute to say what I think are the 3 A's of change. Number 1, anticipating change and being aware of change. See, many of us don't anticipate change. We don't realize that change is happening, even though change is happening. So anticipating and being aware that there is a change happening. When COVID-19 started, many of us anticipated the change and prepared for that change. There are some who are still not aware that there is a change that is happening. So anticipating and being aware of that change. The second word which Murali used, adapt to change. I've heard friends tell me, this mask is a problem. This mask does not allow me to breathe. Now, can I adapt that? Can I accept that mask is a reality? And now how do I deal with this reality? And final A, which Murali emphasized, our attitude towards change. Aware of change, adapt to change, and our attitude to change. I think these were 3 important yardsticks. Let me take my last half minute to make one point. I learned about change when I was 10 years old. Many of the elders here would know that we had somebody from Bangalore who was a very important member of parliament for a long time. His name was Hari Vishnu Kamath. He was a close associate of my grandfather. That's why I know him. We were in Delhi. I'm talking of 1970. And every weekend he used to come to our house when he was in Delhi as a member of parliament. He used to come to our house for dinner. I was just 10 years old. One day I asked Kamath Mama, can you tell me how your government functions? He said, Sandeep, I'll tell you. I will tell you 4 rules of our government, which taught me what change was all about. He said, what are those 4 rules? Sandeep, rule number 1. If you can, don't move. That is rule number 1. If you can, don't move. I said, okay. What is rule number 2? If you must, move slowly. I said, okay, I understood. And then he said, rule number 3, if pushed, move in circles. You keep going back to where you started off from. And then I said, okay, Mama, what's the 4th rule? He said, 4th rule is, if cornered, appoint a committee. That committee will take 3-4 months to solve the problem. That day I learned that this first sentence, if you can, don't move. If I accept that sentence, change will never happen in life. So thank you, Murali, for emphasizing this point so beautifully, making the point of being aware of change, adapting to change, and most importantly, it's our attitude towards change. I have stuck to my 3.5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. B.C. Rasankar.
Yeah. Good evening to everybody. Thank you, Mr. Murali. ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಕೂಡ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ and in terms of you made it so colorful and interesting. I think it deserves a big round of applause from everybody.
Thank you.
Fundamentally, yes, you talk about what is change. See, point A to point B, going from point A to point B, that is what is the change. And you also talked about with a lot of relevant examples that really made it very, very insightful and exciting for all of us to listen to this for 1 hour. Some of the couple of reflections from my side is about, see, during the change process, it behaves like a change cycle. One is about, Murali, you brought out very clear about in terms of the starting point of the change is about accepting. You stress the point that it is personal accountability. See, unless the horse want to drink the water, any amount of you taking the horse to the near the water, it doesn't serve the purpose. That point of accountability, you brought it very nicely. I would say that all of us go through this kind of dilemmas, whether it's in our personal life or in the professional life, especially when these kind of changes are becoming constant day in, day out. My suggestion is about you please have somebody buddy to you, It could be your parents, it could be your friends, it could be your teachers, it could be somebody, your boss or outside line, because that is where you are able to confide and take some kind of a help. ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಮೆಂಟಾಲಿಟಿ ಅವರು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಯಾಕೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವವರು ಬಹಳ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. And in this kind of a change process, we are seeing our children going through the change process. Parents go through, we ourselves go through. ಆಗ ಏನು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಉಳಿದವರಿಂದ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಪ್ಲೇಯರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಎಂಪತಿ ಬೇಕು, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಬೇಕು. We have to put the trust on them. Communication plays a very important role when the individual makes the effort to make the change, embracing the change. And I can only say that the point what you brought out is about all the time you have to keep thinking about what is within you, your control. That is what we can control. Rest of the things anyway, it is beyond our control. ನನಗೆ ನೆನಪಾಗ್ತದೆ ಈ ಬಿರುಗಾಳಿ, ಸುಂಟರ ಗಾಳಿ ಅಥವಾ ಈವನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಮಿ ರೈನ್ ಬರುವಾಗ ಗಾಳಿ ಮರದ ನೆನಪಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಯು ನೋ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಎ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ಗಾಳಿ ಮರ, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಇಟ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಬೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಈ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಅಟ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ it is able to grow, it is able to make the progress. So let us have an attitude of that adaptation. The only thing which should not change, again let me emphasize, what should not change is our value system, the honesty, the truth, respect, trust to each other. That is the only thing we should not change. Rest all should change. Change depends upon the individual urge, individual ability. Dr. Sandeep Shostri talked about that, anticipating and going along with the flow, little ahead of the curve. That is what is the successful. So once again, Mr. Murali, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Great presentation, wonderful. Thank you. Have a good evening to you all.
Thanks, Mr.
Thank you.
Back to Sharath.
Yeah. I don't see much of a questions on the chat window. I think probably this is a very generic topic and not very specific questions on this. But I have one question, Muralidhar, here on one of my slide. The question is, how do people see me differently than I see myself? This is probably one of the questions from my side as well. So basically, how do people see me differently than I see myself, and how do I change myself to make them see what I want to see them?
Yeah, no, wonderful question. I'll just take a stab at it. Others can add. To me, I think I mentioned one point in the slides, right? I mean, we need to know ourselves. That is the important. We have to know what am I, how good am I, what are my limitations, what are my shortcomings, and etc. etc. I think the first and foremost thing for all of us is to know ourselves. I think once we know ourselves, the question doesn't arrive partially, because we know what we are. Then obviously there's a perception, right? Someone else may look at me differently. That's always the case. There could be a perception, there could be a fact. I think either of them need to be addressed. If someone else is looking at me differently than what I am, I think we need to work on it. We need to change the perception, or we need to change ourselves.
Perfect. Okay. And I don't see any other questions. So people, if you have any questions, please type in or unmute yourself and please come up and ask the question.
Or anybody wants to share of your thoughts for a minute or so, I think.
Yeah. People are really so happy to see your presentation, Muralidhar. I see a lot of people commenting on your presentation, and they're really happy to see them. It's a lot of people say excellent presentation, very good presentation.
Vidyaran here, Muralidhar. Just one question on curiosity. Now we as human beings look at our entire world. The leaders are looking at changing lot many things, right? Because being the change leaders or the ones an instrument for change. It could be in terms of technology world or anywhere else, each and every places. But that nature has its own course of action for bringing changes in the entire world, right? So how do we correlate that? Because this is what we have seen. None of us and nobody in the world have thought that this much of disruption would happen with this COVID-19 coming in, with all advanced technologies or astrologies or whatever you call it is, advanced. Nothing could guess this can interrupt in such a way. So nature has its own ways of changing. I know we all now have to adapt to that change. That's right. But where this man-made, human-made changes have helped us is my question.
Yeah, I think that's a controversial topic anyway. It's a natural or man-made. I think we have different opinions about this. But irrespective, right? I think if it is a man-made, I think there is something we can't do much. We could anticipate things. This is coming up from the behavior of the source of these pandemic, and we could prepare ourselves. But this whole thing today we are facing, it came as a sudden, and we never anticipated this. So again, end of the day, these are any real change, and we probably have to now look at how do we adopt to it and how do we get out of this mess. That's my view. Sandeep or Visira, if you want to comment, please.
No, I think you have made the point.
Yeah, I can see. First and foremost is about, again, this is something like Mr. Murali said, whether it is created or this thing natural, whatever may be the reason, see, it is there today. We have to accept that, and in each one of our field, what is the impact for us? And then get prepared to address. In every kind of a crisis, there is an opportunity. One window closes, another window opens. That is what is the life's reality. So if we keep on brooding about, okay, this is what has happened, what do I do, nothing happens. And that is where each one of us, we need to help each other. See, especially in a change process, I have seen some of the employees in the organization, they get labeled, oh, this person will never change. We should not allow that kind of a situation to happen. First and foremost is about change is an individual responsibility. Number two is about we have to help others to change. Like Murali talked about, what is it for me? See, the cost of not changing could even lead to a loss of job, loss of revenues, loss of promotion opportunities. So that means by going along with the positive effects, we should talk about it and help each other. Particularly, that is where I talked about this empathy is needed and an open discussion with somebody whom you know well, who can help you, with whom you can confide. These are some of the things what we practice in the organization. And also, I believe it is true in the personal life.
If I could just add a word, yes, I think change triggered off by nature is something as people we need to adapt to. And if I could speak for half a minute in a lighter vein, I think man-made change is always a challenge. But in this 21st century, we should welcome, I think, woman-made change, because this is the century of women, and I think COVID-19 and its management has shown that women leaders are able to do it much better than men leaders. So I think women-inspired change is the way forward, and man-made change we always have to take with a little pinch of salt, but that's more in a lighter way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Muralidhar, there is a question on any good books would you like to recommend?
I think, I haven't read as such any books, but I used to read a lot of series about Robin Sharma. And of course, I think I just probably made a note of few here. And, again, I've read a lot of Robin Sharma, the monk who sold Ferrari. And, then there is a leader doesn't need a title or something like that. Then there's a lot of books from obviously Collins, right? James Collins, and Built to Last. great to, good to great, all of that. I mean, again, I have those books, but I didn't read them. But I think I saw a lot of series of books from a writer called John Cotter. I think there are a lot of books. I see leadership, leading change, or iceberg in melting, how to move my cheese, etc. I think these are some of the probably famous books about talks about change in general. I think you'll be able to get. I'm sure a lot many books are. There's one Indian author, Rashmi Bansal. I think she writes a lot about good about some of these books. And of course, Arundhati Roy, I think, written some articles about change and all of that in the past. So I guess these are some of the things I know. I'm sure there are many more books.
Yeah, I think Mr. Murli, you talked about a very good book. It is very simple to read, understand, and very, very interesting. I'm quite sure the people will not lay the book back once they start reading Who Moved My Cheese by Johnson.
Right.
That is a fantastic book. I recommend that those who can reach out through that order. That's a wonderful book.
I think it's a very small book, a quick read, probably you can finish in a day's time.
That's right. And another process what we follow in corporate is, there is one consultancy agency called Partners in Leadership. I went through 5 days of training in US on that, and we are doing that. What we call is, anything which has to change, we have to start working at the experience level. It talks about experiences lead to belief. Belief leads to some kind of a different action, and those different actions lead to the result. So we have to work at the individual level, be it in personal or professional life, about giving new experiences. See, let us talk about any kind of, now, when we talk about change, like when we talk about the chairman of the company or MD of the company, we talk about that, oh, I have an open door policy. But if you find that every time the door is closed and the moment somebody walks in, he says that, oh, how did you come in? Have you taken an appointment? That means what he demonstrates, what he preaches and demonstrates is different. So we have to work for giving a new experience. Keep the door open, and the moment somebody walks in, hey, come in, and then, yes. Otherwise, if he is not able to spend the time, he or she, then they say that, may I request you to come after 10 minutes, or I will give you a call. So those kind of a thing, giving new experiences leads to new beliefs. Those new beliefs, like Mr. Murli talked about that, he had the fear of heights. Now, how to change it? He has to be given another experience. Oh, nothing happens. Somebody side by side says, okay, you went up to 10 feet now, 20 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet. And then that drives a belief in him that, yes, I can do it. There is nothing wrong in going into the height. It is safe, those kind of a thing. That will make the individual to try different action. Different actions result, drive for new results. Otherwise, we will take the same old action, same old result will come. Well, this is my insights on that, something added.
Yeah, and Sandeep Shastri uncle recommends a book by Shiv Khera.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's a beautiful big book. So I think everyone should read, irrespective of whatever professions you are.
Yeah, I see those are the couple of questions, Moliana. Probably this, if we do not have any more questions, probably it's the time to wrap it up. And
thanks, Sharath. Thanks everyone for listening. It's been a pleasure to participate in this forum and share my thoughts. I think I've learned a lot in this, and sure we'll do more of this going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, let me take 2 minutes and I'll just wind up the discussion for today. So Muralidhar, it's one of the finest presentation. Thank you so much, and you deserve a really good round of applause for this beautiful discussion. Thank you. And thank you, Sandeep Shastri and BC Rao for chiming in and adding value to our discussion. It was good to have you. Thank you. And just to add the value to this kind of this discussion, here is one of the finest example to what a positive change can result to a better world. On 18th of February, India was not producing any PPEs, but on 18th of May, 600 companies are together producing 450,000 PPE kits today, India becoming the second largest maker of PPE kits. So companies like Alok Industry, Gokuldas Exports, and Aditya Birla, who are really in the different domain, they're pitching in and they're producing and changing the way they operate, and they're producing the PPE kits right now. So the market was in 2019, market was like 52 billions, and it's estimated by 2025 it will be going up to 92.5 billions itself. So this is one of the beautiful example how we can embrace the change and adapt to it. Yeah. And on behalf of UDYOGA DEEPIKA, I'll really like to thank Dr. Sandeep Shastri and Dr. Shailaja Shastri for their sponsorship. And thank you very much, Uncle and Auntie. Thank you. And I appreciate all you joining today for this session. And we'll send you all the relevant information after the event, probably including the webinar recordings and your feedback forms. Please share a few minutes and provide your valuable feedback. And thanks again. We'll see you in the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Murali. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.